You have been the impetus, as you say, for changing the poisoned mind and soul of 200 former members of the Klan.
I have a ton of these things. Let me see if I've got one in my pocket here, if you can see this.
Oh.
This is a medallion. It says KKK member in good standing.
You carry that thing around with you?
Sometimes, yeah.
Wow. Hey, there you are. Good to see you. Come on in. Welcome to Alive. Okay. Here's one for you. Have you ever come across someone and just instantly decided you didn't like them? That you weren't interested in knowing them, and just written them off completely, even though you really didn't know anything about them? You ever done that? Tea. I'm making tea. You want tea? I asked myself that very question. And I want to say no. But honestly, I think I've done that. But we see this dynamic play out everywhere, all across the world right now. And when it gets far enough, it does become entire groups of people who literally hate each other, even though they know nothing about each other. Here you go. And I'm wondering why, right? Of course, why? But also how? How do we do that? Like, how is that possible? How can you hate something you don't even know? What do you think? Yeah. Come on. Okay, so today we are talking to an accomplished jazz and blues musician who has played with absolute legends like Jerry Lee Lewis, Chuck Berry, and that's already incredibly epic. And yet that is not the most amazing thing about this guy, because he is also someone who has sat across from people that I would never, ever sit across from. Members of the Ku Klux Klan. Yeah, a black blues musician sitting across from the Klan. And instead of shouting, which I might have done, he pulled up a chair, he asked questions, and he listened. And somehow, almost impossibly, he changed minds. Some of them gave him their robes. I'm not kidding. His name is Daryl Davis, and he's got a book. I saw a documentary about him. I've heard him speak. And his story might actually be the strangest, bravest experiment in human connection that I have heard. Oh, and he's here. Hang on. Hey, Daryl.
Hey, Steve. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for being here. We super appreciate it.
It's my pleasure.
So you actually have a really interesting childhood story. Why don't we start there? Because I think it really does kind of inform how you got to the work that you currently do. So tell us about how you grew up. Sure.
Well, I'm from Chicago originally.
Yeah.
And I'm age 67. I was a child of parents in the U.S. Foreign Service, traveling all around the world, starting at the age of 3.
So then you came back to the States. I think you were around 10 years old or something.
Right.
Yeah. Tell me about that experience.
All right. So one of those times I came back at the age of 10, I went to a newly integrated school. I was one of 2 black kids in the entire school. I was in 4th grade. There was a little black girl in 2nd grade. And several of my male friends were members of the Cub Scouts. Uh-huh. And they invited me to join. So I joined. Mm-hmm. So now we had a parade. And it was the Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, Cub Scouts, Brownies, 4-H Club, different organizations. And I'm the only black person there. So we're marching down the street. People are cheering and waving and having a good time until we reached a certain point in this parade route when suddenly I was getting hit with bottles, soda pop cans, and small debris from the street. And my first thought was, oh, those people over here, they don't like the Scouts. That's how naive I was. And it wasn't until my Scout leaders came running over to me and covered me with their own bodies and quickly escorted me out of the danger that I realized I was the only Scout getting hit because none of my fellow Scouts were getting this special protection. So now I'm wondering, what had I done to cause them to get angry and attack me like this? And I kept asking my Scout leaders, why are they doing this? Why are they doing this? And all they would do is kind of shush me and rush me along, tell me to keep moving, everything will be fine. I kept moving. They never answered my question, Steve. So I had no idea, you know?
Yeah.
And by the end of the parade, I still didn't have an answer. When I went home, my mother and father, they were unable to attend the parade. They had something else going on, but they were home when I got home. They were cleaning me up and putting Band-Aids on me and asking me how did I fall down and trip and fall down and get all scraped up. And I told them, that wasn't the case. I told them exactly what had happened. And for the first time in my life, at the age of 10, my mom and dad sat me down and explained to me what racism was. Wow. I had never heard the word racism. It did not exist in my sphere. And so when they were telling me this, I literally did not believe my parents because
Really?
my 10-year-old brain could not process the idea that someone who had never seen me, never spoken to me, knew nothing about me, would want to hurt me for no other reason than this, the color of my skin. It made no sense.
So this inciting incident, how did that change you from that point on? What changed in you after that experience?
Well, what happened, I formed a question in my mind after that event at that age. And that question was, how can you hate me when you don't even know me? And so that put me on a trajectory to find out the answer to that. As a teenager, I began buying every book I could find on black supremacy, white supremacy, the Ku Klux Klan, the Nazis in Germany, the neo-Nazis over here, anti-Semitism, racism, you name it. They talk about the problem, but they don't give me an answer, at least not an answer that placates my curiosity. So I'm not satisfied. I would ask people, why do people do that? Oh, Daryl, some people are just like that. That's just the way it is. That's not an answer for me. So who better to ask that question of? How can you hate me when you don't even know me, than to ask someone who would go so far as to join an organization with over 100-year history of practicing hating people. So I figure, find one of those people, and they would have the answer for me.
Okay,
Thus,
all right.
The Ku Klux Klan.
Right. But the balls of that is it's just insane to most people to think that. And how old are you when you get this idea? How old are you when you have this impulse of, who I'm going to talk to because I'm so curious about this problem? I'm going to go talk to the Klan.
So here's the pivotal point. Mm-hmm. I'm out of college. I'm playing in bands and so forth. Country music had made a resurgence.
Right.
So if you want to play music full time, you got to play what people want to hear.
Right.
So I joined a country band, and I've been around for a long time, and they hired me as their piano player. Yep. I'm the only black guy in the band.
Yeah.
There was a town called Frederick, Maryland. And in Frederick, Maryland, there was a bar, a club, called the Silver Dollar Lounge. The Silver Dollar Lounge had a long-standing reputation that it was not welcoming to black people. All right? And I knew the reputation. And, of course, when I came in, people looked at me, but they didn't do anything. And we played our set, and people got up and danced to our music and things and had a good time. On the break, I was following the band to go sit down at the band table when I felt somebody from behind reach across my shoulder, kind of embrace me sort of like from behind. So anyway, I turn around and this white guy, 15, 18, maybe even 20 years older than me, big smile on his face. He goes, man, I sure love your piano playing. This is the first time I ever heard a black man play piano like Jerry Lee Lewis. Now, to me, that was not offensive to me, but it piqued my curiosity to like, wait a minute, this guy is, a decade and a half, maybe even 2 decades older than me. He grew up, with Jerry Lee Lewis's heyday. I was born in 58 when Jerry Lee had his last hit, Whole Lot of Shaking Going On, whatever, Great Balls of Fire. This guy does not know the black origin of Jerry Lee Lewis's piano playing.
He's never heard Fats Domino. He's never heard.
Yeah, exactly. Right, I said, where do you think Jerry Lee Lewis learned how to play? He says, what are you talking about? I said, he learned from the same place I did, from black, blues, and boogie-woogie piano players. That's where that rock and roll, rockabilly style came from. And the guy did not believe me. But he wanted me to come back to his table and let him buy me a drink. Okay. He pays the waitress, he takes his glass, and clinks my glass, and cheers me. He says, this is the first time I ever sat down and had a drink with a black man. Now I'm even more mystified. And I wasn't trying to be facetious. I was curious. I said, why? Innocently. And he stared at the tabletop, didn't answer me. I said, why? And his buddy sitting next to him elbowed him in the sides. Tell him. And I said, tell me, because now it's like a mystery, right? I had to solve this mystery. So he looks at me, just as plain as day, and he says, I'm a member of the Ku Klux Klan. I burst out laughing. Because as I told you, I have every book written on the Ku Klux Klan, right? I've studied this stuff. I know the Klan. I know the mentality. I know everything about them. And they don't just walk up to a black guy, put their arm around a black guy's shoulder and want to hang out and buy him a drink and talk to him and have some fun. It doesn't work that way. He goes inside his pocket, pulls out his wallet, hands me his Klan membership card. I recognize the Klan insignia.
What's that?
It's a red circle with a white cross and a red blood drop in the center of the cross.
They carry ID cards? They carry around identification cards?
Absolutely. You're a member. No, they don't give them to somebody. Or they do leave cards, but not their ID card. You have a membership card, and then you have another card that says you have been paid a friendly visit by the Ku Klux Klan. Don't let the next one be a business visit.
Oh, that's cute. Yeah, that's nice.
Okay. Yeah, so I have some of those too. But anyway, he handed me his membership card.
Right.
And I saw the Klan logo. I'm like, whoa, this is for real. So I stopped laughing because it wasn't funny anymore, right? And I gave it back to him. And now I'm sitting here wondering, what the heck am I doing sitting at a table with a Klansman? That was totally spontaneous, unprepared. But he was very friendly. He asked me a lot of questions. We talked about different things, talked about the Klan. Here's the thing, though. He gave me his phone number, and he wanted me to call him whenever I was to return to the Silver Dollar Lounge with this band that I was playing with, because he wanted to bring his friends, meaning Klansmen and Klanswomen, to see, as he put it to me, the black guy who plays piano like Jerry Lee.
Oh my goodness!
I don't know that he called me the black guy to his friends.
Yeah,
but that's how he referred to me in conversation with him. I called him every 6 weeks. We're on a rotation with other bands. He'd come. He'd bring Klansmen and Klanswomen to see me play.
Okay, for real, you don't have to struggle to find the perfect holiday gift. You don't, because Aura frames exist. They're digital picture frames that you can preload with all sorts of pictures of you and your partner, of your dog, of your cat with you and your dog and your partner, whatever feels right to you. And they're super easy to use. My mom figured out how to use an Aura picture frame, and she's legitimately bad at this sort of thing. So for a limited time, save on the perfect gift by visiting auraframes.com to get $35 off Aura's best-selling Carver Mat frames, named #1 by Wirecutter, by using promo code ALIVE at checkout. That's auraframes.com, promo code ALIVE. This deal is exclusive to listeners, and frames sell out fast. So order yours now to get it in time for the holidays. Support the show by mentioning us at checkout. Terms and conditions apply.
I'm not even sure when it happened, but at some point, half of being an adult became about begging people not to steal your identity online. And it's not because you're doing weird stuff. You're just buying things and booking flights to Cleveland and trying to remember passwords from 2008. But it seems like your social security number is like digitally broadcast somewhere where all the nefarious, shady people can just steal it. And if you're anything like me, you don't even know where to begin to protect yourself. So why not try NordProtect, an all-in-one identity theft protection service built by cybersecurity experts. Runs 24/7, automatically monitors the dark web, your credit, signs of identity misuse, without having to babysit it. It's very simple. The idea is you catch the problems early, make the worst-case scenarios way less likely. Getting started is a breeze. You pick a plan, you do a setup, you let it run in the background. Boom, you sleep a little easier. So go to nordprotect.com/alive and use promo code ALIVE at checkout to get an exclusive 5% discount. That's nordprotect.com/alive and use promo code ALIVE. You can find more information in the show notes.
So you have this card, and you're like, "Hey, man, we're playing again. Why don't you stop on by and bring some of your Klan buddies?"
Well, I didn't say it like that, but yeah, exactly.
My God.
And he'd come. That went on until the end of that particular year, at which time I quit that band. So a few years passed, and it suddenly dawned on me, Daryl, you blew it. The answer to your question that's been plaguing you since the age of 10, how can you hate me when you don't even know me? It fell right into your lap and you didn't even realize it. Okay. Who better to ask that question of than a Klansman, right? He joins the Klan because he hates black people. He hates Jewish people. He hates gay people. He hates Muslims. He hates Mexicans. He hates anybody who's not him, right? So let me get back in contact with that guy. And I decided at that point I wanted to write, all right? There had been no books written by black authors on the Ku Klux Klan. So, long story short, I tracked down that guy. He had moved. He didn't have a phone at that time. And so I got an address on him, and I went to his apartment, unannounced, because I had no way of calling the guy. And so I knock on the door. The guy opens the door and sees me. He goes, "Daryl, what are you doing here?" Right? He goes, "What's going on, man? Are you still playing? What's going on? What's going on?" And I said, yeah, I'm still playing, man. I said, "Listen, I need to talk to you about the Klan." He goes, "The Klan?" I said, "Yeah, you remember, right?" Well, he told me he had left the Klan. He was no longer involved with it. I said, "Well, where's all your Klan stuff?" He says, "You mean my robe and hood?" I said, "Yeah." He says, "Well, they came and got it." I said, "What do you mean they came and got it? Don't you own your robe and hood?" And he explained to me, which I later found out to be true, you can buy the robe and the book, and handbook, and this and the other. You can pay for it all outright, and it's yours to keep. Apparently, he had not paid off his robe and hood, so they came and repoed it. Right. But he said that he still had the mask that went, across the hood to cover the face.
Oh, and right, because it's like a mask and a hood or something.
Yeah, exactly. Right. The mask attaches to the hood. So he has since, he couldn't find it when they came. And but he has since found it. He needed to return it. I said, "Let me see." And he handed it to me, and I'm looking at it. And I said, "Do you know Roger Kelly?" "Yeah, I know Roger. Roger was my Grand Dragon." Grand Dragon means state leader. And I said, I want you to give me Roger's address and phone number. I need to talk to him. I'm going to write a book. I want to interview him." "Oh, Daryl, I can't do that." I said, "Well, you say you got to return this mask, right?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Well, give me his address. I'll go to his house. I'll return it for you." Dude. He snatched that thing right out of my hand. Boom. Like, no way. Right? Yeah. And he was fearful that I would get in trouble and he would get in trouble. And so I had to, twist his arm, not, literally, but figuratively, for about 20 minutes. He finally gave it to me on the condition that I not tell Mr. Kelly where I got his personal, information, phone number and address.
Yeah.
And I said, okay. And he warned me. He said, Daryl, do not fool with Roger Kelly. He will kill you. And this guy was genuinely concerned for my safety.
Were you concerned for your safety at that point?
I was not. Really.
Why?
I was not. I just didn't feel it. All I want to do is talk to this guy. Why does he want to kill me if all I want to do is talk to him? I mean, yes, there are people out there, which I later came to find. I tried to talk to somebody and they wanted to fight. I had to defend myself. But I'm willing to take that chance. So, I mean, to me, somebody in a robe and hood is no different than you or I. Their ideology may be different, but don't worry about what the person has on. Worry about what's in their heart and what's in their mind. The robe and hood don't mean anything to me. Again, because I didn't grow up with it.
But as someone who studied the Klan to the degree that you did, it is one thing to be the dude in the Hawaiian shirt who happens to be a racist, who happens to think that one race is superior to all other races. It's another thing to take the next step and say, I'm going to join an organization with a strange hierarchy full of all kinds of weird fantasy names. And I'm going to join a club and be an active member of a club that goes out and intimidates people, that goes out and expresses this hate and literally practices this hate.
Goes out and lynches people, goes out and murders people, goes out and bombs their churches, drags them behind pickup trucks.
So that's a whole other level, right? And yet,
well, how do you find out about what goes on in their mind, why they do this, unless you talk to them? If you want to learn about serial killers, you can go to the library and check out books on serial killers. But if you really want to know what goes on, you got to interview one of them.
No, I mean, I take your point. I take your point. I'm just wondering why you weren't scared. I'm just wondering.
I just wasn't.
Yeah, I'm just kind of amazed. All right, so here we are, and you're about to go meet a Grand Dragon, the state leader of the Ku Klux Klan in Maryland, right? So,
right.
All right, so walk us through that.
Okay, so I'm the one who had Roger Kelly's phone number. Mm-hmm. My secretary at the time was white. Her name was Mary. I gave it to Mary and said, listen, I want you to call him. Tell him your boss is writing a book on the Klan. Would he consent to sitting down and doing an interview? But I knew, because of all the studying that I've done on them, that he would know the voice on the other end of this phone line is a white woman. Right. And I know the mentality enough to know that he would not automatically think this white woman is working for a black man. Okay, so Mary did call him, and he agreed to do the interview, and he didn't ask what color I was. And so we set it up for the motel right above the Silver Dollar Lounge. The lounge is in the basement of this motel. I gave Mary some money and sent her down the hall to get soda pop out of the vending machine, put it in the bucket, the ice bucket, put the ice in it and get it all cold. I had no idea what this man was going to do when he showed up, but I knew what I was going to do. I was going to be hospitable. Just like if you came to my house, I would offer you a cold beverage. All right, so I'm going to offer him a cold beverage. So she got that all set. So I sat up in the most obscure corner of the room, so Mr. Kelly would have to be halfway in my room before he ever saw me.
Yeah, you're determined to be a surprise to Mr. Kelly.
Yeah. I want him on my territory, just for safety reasons. Mm-hmm. So all that set up. I had the recorder on the table, cassettes in the bag. I also had a copy of the Bible in my bag because the Ku Klux Klan claims to be a Christian organization.
Right.
And they say that the Bible preaches racial separation. Now, I'm a Christian. I've read the Bible. I've never seen that in there. So I want to be able to pull up my Bible and say, here, Mr. Kelly, please show me chapter and verse where it says blacks and whites must be separate. So I'm all prepared, right? Right on time. Knock, knock, knock on the door. And so Mary opens the door. In walks what is called the Grand Nighthawk.
What's that?
Well, Nighthawk means bodyguard. Grand means state. So a Grand Nighthawk would be the bodyguard to the Grand Dragon, like an Imperial Nighthawk would be the bodyguard to the Imperial Wizard.
Thing?
Exactly. So the Grand Nighthawk walks in. He's wearing military camouflage. He's got that red circle patch with the white cross blood drop patch on his chest.
He's decked out in militant camo?
Yeah. And then on this side, he has KKK, three Ks embroidered on his chest. On his cap, it said Knights of the Ku Klux Klan. And on his hip, he had a semi-automatic handgun.
Whoa.
So he comes in, and he turns the corner and sees me and just, freezes. Well, Mr. Kelly is on the other side of the corner. He does not realize that his Nighthawk has stopped short. He comes around the corner and bam, bumps into the Nighthawk, knocks the guy forward, and they both are stumbling around trying to regain their balance, and they're like looking all around the room, and I'm just sitting there, looking at them. And I can read their faces. I know what they're thinking. They're thinking, did the desk clerk give us the wrong room number? Or is this an ambush? I saw the apprehension. So I stood up and I went like this to show I had nothing in my hands. And I walked right up to Mr. Kelly. I extended my right hand. I said, "Hi, Mr. Kelly. I'm Daryl Davis." He shook my hand.
He shook your hand?
Yes, he did. As did the Nighthawk. So far, so good. Please, come on in, please. Have a seat, Mr. Kelly. Mr. Kelly sat down on the other side of the table, opposite my chair, and the Nighthawk stood at attention to Mr. Kelly's right. And before I could sit down, Mr. Kelly said, "Mr. Davis, do you have any form of identification?" I said, "Sure." I pulled out my wallet, handed him my driver's license. He looked at it and he goes, "Oh, you live on such and such street." Now that had me a little concerned.
Yeah.
Why is he reading my street address?
Yeah.
Is he going to come to my house and burn a cross or something in my yard? And so I did not want to let him know that he had, unnerved me a little bit. But I want to let him know in no uncertain terms was he to come to my house uninvited for any, nefarious reason, right? I said, "Yes, Mr. Kelly, that is where I live. And you live at." And I named his house number and his street. That way I was leveling the playing field. In other words, if you come visit me, I'm going to come visit you.
This is
let's
already
confine
a
all
very
this.
tense meeting.
Well, it got even more tense. So, we got on with this conversation. I'm questioning him. He's telling me why he believes a certain way, this, that, and the other. And every time the recorder ran out of tape, I would reach down into my bag and pull out a fresh tape to put in the recorder cassette. Or if Mr. Kelly said, "Mr. Davis, the Bible says," if I didn't believe, what he was saying, I'd reach down, pull out my Bible, and say, "Here, Mr. Kelly, please show me chapter and verse where it says blacks and whites must be separate," or whatever reference he was making, quoting the Bible. Every time I reached down like this, the Nighthawk reached up like this.
Whoa.
Okay, now, he never pulled the gun, but he would rest his hand, his palm, on the butt of the gun. Well, this went on for about 45 minutes.
Wow.
And then the dude relaxed. He realized there was no threat in the bag, and he relaxed. And all of a sudden, Steve, out of nowhere, there was a very fast, very short noise, like a that was it. And we all jumped because it was so out of context. Instantly, I went into survival mode.
Yeah.
Because I had all kinds of things running through my head. Daryl, don't fool with Roger Kelly. He will kill you. I'm getting ready to come across that table and grab Mr. Kelly and the Nighthawk and slam them down to the ground and take away the Nighthawk's gun. But when I hit the table, I'm inches from Mr. Kelly's face. I'm looking right into his eyes. And I did not say one word, but my eyes spoke loud and clear. And they were saying to him, "What did you just do?" Well, he's looking into my eyes, and I could read his eyes. He didn't say a word either. His eyes were saying to me, "What did you just do?" And the Nighthawk's back like this again, looking at both of us like, "What did either one of y'all just do?" Well, Mary was sitting to my left on top of the dresser because there were no more chairs. She realized what had happened, and she began explaining it to us, and we all began laughing at how ignorant we all were. What had happened was this. The bucket of ice with the cans of soda in it that we had prepared was sitting to Mary's left. The ice had begun melting, and the cans of soda were falling down the ice.
Oh my God.
That was it.
Okay.
That was it. Okay?
The holidays are here, and I would argue that means therapy is more important than ever. But finding the right therapist can be really difficult. Finding the right match can indeed be a hard thing to do. But ZocDoc can help you find the right therapist by providing you options and details to help you find the right fit, to find that person that will help you break patterns and push you past your current limitations. They've got over 100,000 high-quality doctors, and it's not just mental health. It's everything from mental health to dental health to primary care, urgent care, and more. So stop putting off those doctor's appointments and go to ZocDoc.com/alive to find and instantly book a top-rated doctor today. That's ZocDoc.com/alive. ZocDoc.com/alive.
So the tension in that room was so thick. I mean, you got a paramilitary KKK, whatever his fantasy title, Nighthawk, with his hand on his semi-automatic weapon, staring at you, and you guys are ostensibly having a civil conversation, but the background tension is such that the sound of a soda bottle clinking in an ice bucket sent you over the table. So you got two things going on there, Daryl. You're saying, all right, I'm going to hear this man out. I'm going to listen because I am obsessed with this question. You know, how can you hate me if you don't know me? And you want an answer to your question. But at the same time, you're aware this man could shoot me at any moment. Like that is in the room. The hate is in the room. The hate is in the room with us here. The hate is across the table.
So I have to control the situation.
Yeah.
If I want to live, I have to control the situation. That's what's going through my mind.
So what happened?
Well, like I said, when Mary began explaining it and it happened again, we all began laughing.
You laughed?
How ignorant we all laughed. And the lesson taught is this: all because some foreign _highlight, circle the word foreign entity of which we were ignorant, that being the bucket of ice cans of soda, entered into our little comfort zone via the noise that it made, we became fearful of each other. Ignorance breeds fear. Fear breeds hatred. Hatred breeds destruction. So if you want to solve the problem, you want to address the root cause. The root cause is ignorance. If you cure the ignorance, then there's nothing to fear. With nothing to fear, there's nothing to hate. The good thing is this, Steve, there is a cure for ignorance. That cure, my friend, is called exposure and education. Yeah. And that's where we need to focus our energy, our efforts, our finances, our time on curing the ignorance. And I've proven it works because eventually Roger Kelly, he moved through the ranks and became an imperial wizard. He oversaw 13 states.
Wow, he was a national leader.
Yeah. He invited me to some of his Klan rallies, and I'm just telling you about Roger Kelly. I mean, there's tons more I could tell you about different wizards and dragons and so forth and so on. I've been doing this for 45 years. And Roger Kelly, not everybody changes, but Roger Kelly eventually changed.
But what I still can't get to, and what I want you to talk about is how you became friends with this man. Okay.
All right. Well, because if you start, let's say, this far apart on the ideological spectrum, you talk with your biggest adversary or enemy, whatever. It doesn't have to be about race. It could be about anything. It could be about race. It could be about abortion, nuclear weapons, the last presidential election, the war between Gaza and Israel, the war between Russia and Ukraine, whatever. Hot topic, right? You're on one side, somebody else on the other side. If you spend 5 minutes with that person, you're going to find something in common, and that chasm, that gap, is going to narrow a little bit because you found a commonality. You keep on talking, you're going to find more in common, and now you're here. When you get here, you are in a relationship with your adversary, and you keep on talking, you found more in common. Now you're here. You're friendly. You're being friends. Okay,
and this is what happened with you and Mark Kelly. This is what happened with you guys.
It happens with me and all of them. Not most of them, I'll say. That I deal with. And what happens is this: when you get here, you have caused a cognitive dissonance in their mind because they have found a whole lot more in common with you than they have found in contrast.
Is this the sort of conversation you were having with Roger Kelly? Were you just
Yeah.
shooting the shit about current events and other things that weren't his
Absolutely.
his seething
Absolutely.
hatred for everything that you are? So you were able to get past that by simply
Yeah.
really what? And,
Yeah.
and so you're sitting there.
Let me give you an example. Let me give you another example. An exalted cyclops, okay, was in my car.
Okay.
Right? I'm driving around. We do a lot of conversing in my car, believe it or not.
All right.
So he's sitting over here in the passenger seat. I'm driving. And he says, we got on the topic of crime, especially black crime, right? Which is his favorite topic. And I'd heard this a million times. But he used a figure of authority that everybody uses but nobody's ever seen. The biggest figure of authority is a person or a group known as they.
They say a lot of things. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So he said, well, they say all black people have a gene, are born with a gene that makes them violent. Mm-hmm. They say, right? And I say, I'm driving. I'm saying, what are you talking about, man? He says, well, who's doing all the drive-bys and carjackings in Southeast? So he was referring to Southeast Washington, D.C., which is predominantly black. There's some white people who live there. Mm-hmm. It's predominantly black, and it's high crime-ridden. I said, okay, it's black people. I said, but you're not considering the demographics. He goes, oh, no, demographics have nothing to do with it. You all got this gene, doesn't matter. I said, look, who's doing all the crime up in Bangor, Maine? White people, because that's what lives there, right? So he goes, nah, it has nothing to do with the demographics. You got this gene. And I said to him, listen, man, I am as black as anybody you've ever seen. I have never done a carjacking or a drive-by. How do you explain that? This man did not hesitate 1 second. He answered me like that. He said, your gene is latent. It hasn't come out yet.
Right.
How do you argue with somebody that far out in left field? You can't even bite into that.
That's my question to you. How do you listen to this?
I'm just dumbfounded. I'm shut up for a moment, because I don't know what to say. I'm just, what the hell just happened? Yeah. He's over here all smug, like, you got nothing to say. I had to go to where he was mentally. So I used his figure of authority. I said, well, they say that all white people are born with a gene that makes them a serial killer.
Right.
He's like, what are you talking about? I said, well, name me 3 black serial killers. There are tons of them out there. Name me 3 black serial killers. He couldn't even name me one. I said, here, I'm going to give you one. I named one for him. I said, just name me 2. He couldn't even name me 2. I said, Charles Manson, Jeffrey Dahmer, Henry Lee Lucas, John Wayne Gacy, Ted Bundy, Albert DeSalvo, the Boston Strangler, David Berkowitz, Son of Sam, on and on and on. I said, they're all white. I said, son, you are a serial killer. He said, Daryl, I've never killed anybody. I said, your gene is latent. Hasn't come out yet.
Latent genes.
Hey, man, that's it. And he shut up. He didn't say one word. I could tell his wheels were spinning in his head. And then he changed the subject. But within a few months, he quit the Klan based on that conversation.
Really? See, this is what I can't figure out about you, Daryl. That you persuaded an exalted cyclops was sitting in your car, and you said, "Hey, man, your logic is broken completely." And here's a counterfact.
I didn't say that.
But that's what you're doing, right?
Come to that conclusion, yeah.
And you're presenting a counterfactual, and you convinced him. There's something about you that is extra convincing. I feel it has to be something about what you're doing that is extra compelling. It has to be, because you're making changes. How many people have you persuaded? How many Klansmen? Because you've got robes, right? How many robes do you have?
Yeah. I have. I don't say I persuaded them. I said that I am the impetus for them to renounce and rethink. Okay. I have done this with over 200.
200?
Yes. I've been doing it for 45 years.
You got 200 robes somewhere.
No. I'm not saying I have 200 robes. I have probably maybe 65, 70 robes, but I have over 200 items. I have medallions, I have belt buckles, I have flags, all kinds robes and hoods and whatever, all kinds of stuff, that they use in their, I have a ton of these things. Let me see if I got one in my pocket here, if you can see this.
Is it a card? Oh.
No, this is a medallion. It says KKK member in good standing. Can you see that?
You carry that thing around with you?
Sometimes, yeah.
Wow. So you have been the impetus, as you say, for changing what I would call the poisoned mind and soul of 200 former members of the Klan.
White supremacists, whether they were Klan, neo-Nazi,
right?
Whatever.
That's something about you, man. That's something about you. And I got a lot of questions about that. What is that process like? What does that feel like to deeply listen to someone like that who does not want you to exist?
Well, it's not shocking because going into it, I know their history.
Yeah.
Whether they bombed a church, and I've met Klansmen who've committed murder.
Yeah.
And things like that, and tried to bomb a synagogue and this, that, and the other. But you never know how the conversation's going to go.
Yeah.
What impact it may have, because you don't see people change overnight.
Yeah.
It's over time, and what I really feel, I feel exhilarated. I feel convinced that I need to keep doing this every time one of them changes. And the light bulb goes on in their mind. I've been going down the wrong path. I need to straighten up my act here. I need to give up this crazy hatred stuff.
Yeah.
Because, they're not born with that. That's a learned behavior. And what can be learned can be unlearned. But let me share this with you, Steve, and your listeners. It may sound a little counterintuitive.
Yeah, it's the most counterintuitive
hear me
thing.
out.
Yeah.
Okay. So you've heard the saying, one's perception is one's reality, yes?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's true. Whatever somebody perceives becomes their reality.
Yeah.
Even if it's not real,
Yeah.
it's their reality. Keep in mind, you cannot change anyone's reality. All right? What is real to them is real to them. You cannot change it. And if you try to change somebody's reality, you're going to get resistance. Because they believe whatever it is they think is real. And you're going to get pushback, okay? What you do is you offer them a different perception or perceptions, plural. If they resonate with one of those perceptions, then they will change their own reality because their perception becomes their reality.
There's something about you, man, that allows for this, and you're doing incredible work out there in the world. But I want to talk to you for the rest of my life. I really admire what you do, and I'm perplexed by it. And you said before that it's counterintuitive, and deeply listening the way you have through ignorance to the KKK is probably the least intuitive thing I can imagine, but it seems like it might be the most effective thing possible,
Well, Steve, when you've been mistreated for 400 years, and I've been here 400 years as a descendant of slaves, right? And 400 years later, you're still being mistreated. Perhaps it's time to do something a little different to resolve the problem, because, was Isaac Newton or somebody, right? If you do the exact same thing, the exact same way, you're going to get the exact same result.
Right.
So why 400 years has this problem not been resolved? Maybe it's time we do something a little different. And that's what I'm doing.
Well, hey, man, this is a really cool story to listen to. And I really appreciate it.
Let's do a part 2 sometime.
All right, man, we will. And it's great.
Right.
It's great to actually meet you. And thank you so much for coming by.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. Take care.
Bye. Wow. Let's go. Sitting in a room and deeply listening to the Klan is like the least intuitive thing Daryl could possibly have done, right? It's like the most unlikely response to that situation, listening. And I'm wondering if that's part of why it worked. I mean, it seems like an impossible conversation to have, right? I wonder. Is there a conversation in your life that seems impossible to have? And how might that change if you listened deeply? What do you think? Yeah. Right. Well, listen, it's great to see you. Thanks for coming by. This always means a lot to me. And you look great. Alive with Steve Burns is a Lemonada Media original. If you haven't subscribed to Lemonada Premium yet, now's the perfect time. You can listen to the show completely ad-free, plus you'll unlock exclusive bonus content from me as I reflect on this episode. Just press subscribe on Apple Podcasts, head to lemonadapremium.com to subscribe on any other app, or listen ad-free on Amazon Music with your Prime membership. That's lemonadapremium.com. Alive is hosted by me, Steve Burns, and produced by Jeremy Slutskin. Our editor is Christopher Champion Morgan. Our associate producer is Akshaz Tharabailu. Audio engineering by James Sparber. Lemonada's SVP of weekly programming is Steve Nelson. Executive producers are Jessica Cordova-Kramer, Stephanie Whittles-Wax, and me. We'll see you next week. And you look great, by the way.